This is Trail Rider 570 with Earl here. We got a really cool install for you guys. It's simple, but the bike is cool. We got an African Twin 1000cc adventure bike sitting here. And we're going to actually, before we do the install, because the install will take nothing to do, we're going to look at the bike and he's going to talk about the bike and tell us the features and what he's done to it. He's planning on driving around the UP of Michigan, taking it out to Utah and doing some riding with it. He's retired and this is what he wants to do. So it's a really cool bike. And after this, we'll get started with the walk around. Okay, I'm back with you. We're going to show the bike, and he's going to describe what he's did to it, because me and him, they're just normal people. Normal people, and he'll tell you the CC, how he's got it set up, how he set his suspension up, how he's got his bags on. It's pretty cool. So I'm going to turn it over to Earl, Uncle Earl. There we go. We're not using real names here, guys. I just want you to understand. That's not his real name. He's not my uncle, because he's actually a lot older than I am.
Something like that.
So anyway, this is the bike. It's an African Twin. Africa Twin, and he will give us a walk around with it.
Hello, Claude. Thanks for Claude.
That's fine.
Thanks for having me. Yeah, I bought this, Claude, been about a year and a half ago?
Something like that.
This is the second generation of an Africa Twin. It is a 2016. The first one being in the late 80s. It came on mid to late 80s. It got entered in the Dakar rally races, took 4 or 5 consecutive years straight. I think they finally phased that out in the 90s era. This one came out some 16 to 20 years later. Be 2016, as I mentioned. They've updated it as of 2020 with some technical stuff, so you could call that technically the third generation. This particular one, I liked it. I could do stuff to it where the newer ones are all electronic suspension, everything, and I can't mess with that as much as I can this one. And the reason that's important is this one's been lowered. So I have a shorter inseam as I'm vertically challenged.
Yeah, he's only like 4 foot tall, guys.
Just happen to be taller than the guy.
I'm actually taller than he is.
So anyway, I dropped it, lowered it, and set the geometry accordingly so it didn't affect or influence the rake angles. I then also updated, you can see with the Race Tech decals, I updated the back shock and the front suspension. I got to haul myself around. These were originally sprung light for 165 to 180 pound rider, which I'm not. So I had to pull the shocks apart and update them with heavier springs, especially when I consider, Claude, if you can pan up here, I start getting into the bags. And this is minus the side bags, which aren't on here right now, but I carry this one here in the back with clothing that I can get a hold of. And if I have to get off real quick and take a shower in the lake while I'm in the trails, this stuff here I can hold wet stuff really well. Put it in here. It doesn't affect any of my other luggage.
Oh, and by the way, this is the honor of Itchy Boots. He carries an extra clutch cable. We both follow her channel.
Yeah, so the main purpose I bought this bike is that I could make modifications easily to it. It wasn't so technically advanced that you couldn't do that yet. As Claude mentioned earlier,
Yeah, you can use my first name. A lot of people know me. They don't know my phone
They're
name.
going to, this had, it's 1,000 cc, the new one's 1,100. There's about, give or take, 8 to 12 horsepower difference between the first gen, or the second gen, and now the 1100s.
Weight difference?
It depends. This one here is actually lighter. That's a good question. This one's lighter. If they use the DCT, which is the double clutch automatic transmission, that adds another 20 pounds. But when Honda went to the new generation in 2020, which I'm looking at something from that era now, they put electric suspension on them as well. So the DCT, this is about 505 pounds. The DCT will add about 20 to 25 pounds. And then the electronic suspension from Showa, that added a few pounds. So over the years, it's morphed. So this bike right now as a standard in 2024 will weigh about 212 pounds, somewhere there, or 500.
Any difference in the
500.
frame?
Yeah, so the new ones as of 2020 went to a different chassis altogether. So they used a race bred swing arm in the back. Down here, they changed that. They made the frame narrower, and it also, my understanding is it flexes a little bit to help improve the ride, which had something to do with the suspension they were bringing on.
Fuel capacity the same?
You know, I think it's close to 5 gallons. I got a range of about 225 to 250 miles, which allows me not to have to pack gas like itchy boots. Otherwise, I do have a bladder I carry, but usually I'm in reach of a gas station. I carry extra water, however. I don't have that on there either right now.
But right here, he's got you can see the straw here, and there's his mouthpiece, so he can drink water as he rides.
So there's a water bladder in here. This has got all kinds of different compartments, but I won't show you all of them. But, so this allows me to grab the stuff that I'm going to need. This is camera gear I keep in here. I've got my jumper for batteries. I got my GoPro up here. Give you an example. I've got eye fluid cleaner. I've got rags. I've got, what do we call that? Called for bee stings. I need.
He's got an EpiPen, but guys, because he's like me, he has bee allergies, so he has to have it.
So
he is, if he's like me, he got stung once here. Every time he gets stung, the reactions get worse and worse, so he has to carry an EpiPen.
I didn't know I was, but I got stung. I was up here on my lot clearing some stuff off on the tractor, and all of a sudden I couldn't breathe. So I went over to the campground, which is here. Somebody was there, and they hightailed me into the hospital. That was a scary moment, so they told me I had to start packing that. But so yeah, this is my personal pack, if you will. I got access to everything. I use this. It's my cell phone, obviously, but I have music that I have through a Cardo device. It goes into my earphones in my helmet, which is all wireless. And then I also can, mostly I use this for maps kind of thing.
He's got 2 different navigation systems. He'll explain how the other one works too.
Yeah, so this one is mostly for maps. I use music when I'm on the highway and stuff, but I can also get, audible stuff. It's hard to read this small of a screen while you're riding, so I just listen to her. But then up here, I have off-road. I'm running Onyx, but that's on my trail system, so I download, like you would, I'll download all my GPX files, and I navigate by that. No matter where I'm at, it's like being on Google Maps. But if I'm in a spot where I can't get cell range, which I have to know that ahead of time, then I download the maps offline. So whether I'm in range or I'm not, it doesn't matter. I've got maps I can navigate by. This thing will find me and tell me where I got to go. Pretty slick deal. So road here, the trails up here. The dash is pretty self-explanatory, but it gives you miles per gallon, gears shifting here. This is for traction control. So that's aggressive, so that cuts me off a lot. I can drop the bars down. You can see here now I'm down to 2.
Yeah.
1, I'm totally off. I can come over here and take off the traction control. So that's off now. ABS, that's actually ABS, not
And guys, for the record, all these lights are on because the bike's not running right now, so he's got no oil pressure and the ABS lights on.
Yep.
Because the key's just turned on. There's nothing wrong with his dash.
So the new ones give you a lot more electronic granular control with different modes that you can drive by. This one here is pretty much, I like it because I've been riding a long time, so I know what I want when I want it, that kind of stuff. But a lot of the modes, the driving modes, and how the throttle actually works with electronic ride-by-wire is rider assistant aids. And they actually have bikes, now it's all built into the engine management system, but it knows the lean angles. So if you start leaning, then it detects slippage.
That's similar to what like my truck has in it. It'll give you a degree of how much that body is tilting on a hillside or
Yep.
whatever. My truck has that built into it as well.
They got pretty complicated. So this one, while it does assist me with ABS and traction control, it's pretty limited in fashion. But the idea that I bought this one because again I could manually lower it, I could change the spring rates. The newer ones have a lot more to take into consideration to do that. I don't miss it, but the newer ones they tell me a lot more grunt at the low end. But the way this bike's set up, it fits me. I'd have to go a lot and research a lot to do this on the newer models.
Yeah, you'd have to almost have the bike. You go in there and you'd say, this is what I want, then they would have to build the bike up for you.
Well, that would be me.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'd have to take the suspension apart on that. I'd have to research how that affects the electronic suspension component of it.
Right.
This one's not electronic. This one I have full control of rebound, compression, also ride height, so I can put a pre-spring weight on it. So if I load this thing down with all my luggage, that bike wants to do this.
Right.
And when that does that, that changes the fork angle.
It changes your rake in the front, exactly.
So if the rake is changed on a dirt bike, that has some big issues then, because that affects how it corners, affects how it rides to the soft sand, all that stuff. So I can load this thing down. I measure it ahead of time. I load it down, and then whatever that reading is, the difference between the two, I can adjust that up here. My pre-weighting on the spring, I can adjust that.
And just bear in mind, guys, he doesn't have all this gear in the back. He's got saddlebags he was just showing me that sit on here, and this is just a heat shield. But he says this exhaust will get that hot. But there's a saddlebag that would sit on an angle right here, and he's not that tall. You're what, 5'6", 5'7"?
6'8".
Come on.
5'9".
5'9". I'm 5'7", and I'm taller than you are.
You're not taller than I am.
The floor tapers. That's what it is, seriously.
So I have a set of bags that have racks that I'll use for long distance.
See now I'm the same height.
On the highway. I have a set of bags that I have racks on. Those weigh heavy. They're easy because all I got to do is press a button and they pop off. I can carry that into the hotel. The ones I'm waiting on right now are rackless, and they snug close to the bike. They're a lot easier to ride with in the trails. I found with the big racks and all that.
This knob here, guys, that's how he adjusts his rear shock. We crank that up just like that.
Yeah. So but it's a beautiful thing to have because that bike sets this high right now, but when I load it up, it sets lower. So I take the difference of what the measurement was. So if this was, say it's 21 inches, I'll measure from the ground to here or something, and then I weigh it down and measure it again. If I lose 3 inches, whatever it is, I can gain that back by pre-weighting the shock.
And if you notice on this bike, there's no rear foot pegs. He took them off. And there's not really a center kickstand on these anymore.
They come, you can get them, but that's, on these bikes, weight works against you. So that I chose not to do it. What I have in place of that though, if I need to get the back end up, I have a stand that telescopes. And then if I come over on this side and I were to push the bike towards Claude, you can actually lift the back end coming off.
Yeah, you can lift it up if you had
That thing
to.
goes right underneath here, and Likewise,
That way you can pull a tire off. You have to.
I can do the back or the front with that.
Right.
Sometimes-
And when he's talking about center stand, we follow a mutual person on YouTube. We found out she's from Brazil, and she rides a pink adventure
what her
bike.
name was.
I'm trying to think of her name. I'll put the link in the description to her
She got a
channel.
good channel too.
Yeah, I'll put the link to her description. She was riding with Mark Travers for a while. Now she's in Thailand somewhere. She had to meet up with her husband. She is married. So, but then Mark's and went to Switzerland, to France, to the UK to get this. He picked up a really fancy battery bike he's running. But they have set, getting back to that, the center stand. Her bike has a center stand on it. They had a competition. She could almost get it up on the stand, which she did after quite a lot of work. And Mark couldn't do much better. These bikes, when they're loaded up, you gotta understand, like Itchy Boots, if she falls over, first thing she does is empty the bike off. Just
So,
put it up on the wheels.
In my opinion, Itchy Boots had a Honda 300 Rally. That was a nice bike for her. There's a good weight factor ratio given her size and everything. She put a lot of miles on that bike flawlessly. It was a
Had
perfect size, but
65,000 miles it
it
had on
didn't
it.
quite have the oomph that she was looking for. So
Right.
the next bike she bought, what's the blue one? That
The Tenere,
what's she? Well, that's an old Tenere. What does she call it though?
Frankie.
Frankie. That bike.
That's a
fit her.
600 and 650, I think it is.
So she went up, obviously. And
But they,
inside,
same as you,
They dropped it, but
the-
she took
dropped
her
it.
bike. She was in, I want to say, Germany. And she knew some guys that worked on bikes and had all these parts to read.
it was hand built.
It was out of the 80s.
Yeah, this bike was all piecemeal, hand
I
built
think
there.
that was an XT.
They went through the motor and everything on it and put it in there. The motor's starting to use oil as of one of her updates. And that bike is
the, new
on
one,
its,
the new one did?
that Frankie
Yeah.
is starting to burn oil. But she put 65, 70,000 miles on a bike, like, quick.
She does, in my opinion, for her, for as much riding, the type of riding she does, that Tenere is a good platform. It's tall, but she could do the same thing with this.
Reason she picked that, she said in one of her videos, she picked the Tenere that she's riding towards Japan's where she's heading for right now.
Nice
Over a newer one is the maintenance. She says sometimes she can't change the oil like it's needed and adjust the valves as needed. This bike is a little more simpler because a lot of these, they don't have the old style rockers with use a feeler gauge. They use cups on them, and she can't necessarily do that on a trail. Where the old one
Yep.
she can adjust the valve lash if she had to.
So technically speaking, that Frank, or the first one, the red Honda she had,
Savannah,
the CRF, that
Yeah.
had, technically speaking, a lot more going on than the bike that she, in my backwards progression.
she went to carbureted
She
over
went
fuel
to something
injector
simple that she knew, that she could understand, and I respect all
that
of
people
that.
could work on if she had to have it done.
Yep, and she ran into some issues when I remember Frankie, the CRF, she couldn't get it started. She was in the sand somewhere, and it had some kind of a
The traction control light was always coming on.
Yeah, so she wanted to go down and break it down simple, but I think her Teneres, when you get in the sand, the horsepower helps keep you upright. It's a whole different program on one of these than a side-by-side. When you get in the sand, you need to stay on it a little bit, and that 300 just didn't quite have the bananas, especially sandy uphills.
Right.
So I think she made a good call going to that platform, but I personally, and everybody's got an opinion, but I like her Tenere, the new Tenere she's on. If she would lower that to something that's really manageable for her, because she's riding with a lot of weight too.
And she's originally from Rotterdam in the Netherlands, and all of her bikes that she's ridden,
She's something else.
she's ridden on her channel, are in a museum on display there. You can go to Rotterdam. You'd have to.
Sorry for my phone.
I'm not sure what museum it is, but all of her bikes are on display that she's ridden. The Honda we were talking about, when she took it in there, it had 70,000 miles on it. And when she bought it, it had 0 miles. So she did that
That's a
in.
nice bike.
She did that in basically one season, as she calls them.
So, being up north here, this is our getaway area up here. This allows us to jump in the woods, and I use this right now. Claude alluded to earlier that I have some trips coming up, but being up here affords me the opportunity to hit in the woods and practice. So I go looking for spots that I know I'm gonna have a challenge with this big of a bike. Not that I'm looking for trouble, but I do. So I go look for the harder spots and try to ride them, and it's makes you a better rider. But if you don't ride these every day and stay up, when I go up to Utah and I'm going to the Moab area, riding the BDRs out there, you get up in the mountains 10,000 feet high and get a rocky, you know, incline or decline, that's not the time to learn how to ride the heavy bike.
And for the record, guys, we've been kind of half discussing this, the possibility of him going out riding, and I'll follow him on a Ranger, and I'll do a whole video of him in the trails and riding. And you're going to be surprised. These bikes ain't like dirt bikes. When he rides the trail, he's most time in first gear, and just like Itchy Boots does, you ride with your means and within your means. This bike ain't designed to be driven off big jumps and that. So it's a different beast altogether than what like a dirt bike is.
So I have a dirt bike too, and that's something you go frog around on, and you can throw that around and get aggressive. This one you can after you've been on it a while, but it's a little more intimidating, shall we say. You know, this one's more about surviving.
Put it this way, guys, I've sat on this bike, and if you I'll give you kind of a view. When you sit on the bike, this is what you see. And I'm not much taller. I'm actually probably about the same height as he is. Now he's taller than I am, because there's an 1.5 inch difference in our floors, the floor here. But you can see what he sees. I mean, it's not like a dirt bike. He sees his dash. He's got his handlebars, his bag, and this is where he sits. And if you notice, even the seats, I
changed that too. Actually, I just upgraded.
Yeah, that's the other thing I was going to ask you. Comfort. How far can you go on a seat like this?
So the original seat, that's a really good question you asked. We got some four-wheelers going by. The original seat, I'm 2 hours from my home downstate. By the time I got up here, I was standing off the seat going down the main drag down here because my butt hurt. On the way home, if I did it 4 hours, it was bad. And it was also slope. This right here, feel that void, Claude?
See, there's a void there. That's for your tailbone, ain't it?
That's for if you're a guy.
Yeah,
it's like a bicycle seat.
Yeah, guys. Without getting too graphics, you know, we're built different women. We got extra parts hanging down there, and this way you don't put pressure on them.
You really gotta go hanging down there, really?
Yeah.
So that's one thing, but this seat is also, believe it or not, wider than my stock seat, and then it gets narrower here. And what the benefit of that is, if it's narrower here, that'll, instead of being like this, where your feet can't reach, it allows you to leverage and get more feet on the, you know.
You can get your feet closer to the frame.
I can get it closer. I can get them on the ground. So this whole seat.
And you can actually pull his knees in, the way the seat is made, probably too, and pull your knees into, like if you had to stand up in sand or whatever.
Well, so if you're going to go into some of that, so here's the thing, and I haven't put them on here, but they've got pads you can put here. They're like a protection, but to Claude's point, there's certain times when you want to ride with your feet pointed in, heels down, depending on heels down for traction kind of thing. But when you turn your feet in and you're standing up, you're actually pinching the bike. So if I'm going around corners, gravel roads, stuff like that, where the front end can wash, I'm standing up and my chin's sitting, I'm looking down at my fender. I'm up and forward, putting as much weight as I can on the front wheel to go around corners. When I hit the whoops or something, you know, a lot of bumps, or accelerating hard, I pinch. And that takes all your upper body, it takes a lot of that, otherwise you get exhausted. So that helps. And then when I hit the sand, you know, I'm leaning back here a little bit. This comes in handy. I'm putting a little pressure on my bag, but so you're constantly moving on the bike.
And for the record too, he says you're constantly moving, which is true. If you're in the sand, what I've learned, I used to ride motorcycles. I had dirt bikes. you want the, if you're in sand, if you watch like Itchy Boots or anybody that does adventure riding, sometimes they stand on the seat.
Always.
Because you want the bike to move around. You don't want to sit on the bike and be as stiff as a board, because that's going to tip you over quicker than crap. So you want the bike to wiggle and move around. You want the handlebars to work a little bit, you know, as they will. That's what my knowledge of like riding dirt bikes. You want everything to just to do its thing.
People don't, it's a good point, Claude.
Whoops, hold on.
So you had a really good point. Riding these bikes off-road is a total different thing. And on this one specifically, standing up does everything. You have more control, believe it or not. First thing people do when they get in trouble, they want to crouch. They're going to put out the landing gear, right? But you really want to do the opposite and remain standing. So if you're going over riverbeds, rocks, technical situations, you actually have better balance, better control than if you were sitting down. The other thing is you go through loop stand, these bigger bikes especially. My dirt bike will do it too, but they get squirrely. That bike's got to be able to move underneath you. Standing up, that bike is free to move and help do what it needs to do, but you're not experiencing all of that sitting on the seat, right?
Right.
You know, the other thing is this has its own suspension, obviously. You can, and that works great, but your knees are your second form of suspension.
Yeah.
Your
And
ankles, your ankles.
Yeah.
That's why you ride on the balls of your feet, so your ankles
Are
can move,
working.
So your feet and legs help them. So over the course of the day, you'll take any advantage you can get. So it actually, you're right. It is a big advantage to be on these bikes, especially. You're standing more than you are sitting. Going
Say if you bought this bike here, and you say, I'm going to go adventure riding, you get on it and you go off-road, and first thing everybody does is they tend to freeze up. They'll get on these bikes, and I followed a guy, a friend of mine's son on a TW, for example, and he was running sitting on like a statue, just sitting on it, and I could watch him every now and then. He's putting his feet down, all this other stuff, and I told him, I said, you need to relax, move yourself around, let the bike work, and he did that, and we were like the last of the group, because that's the way he was riding. After that, told him that, he started paying attention to what he was doing, and he was doing a whole lot better. But he's a big guy. He's probably 6'2", and he's probably 270 pounds, riding a 250 TW. So it looked like a Sasquatch on a bicycle. So, but anyway, guys, what we're going to do, if you want to hear more about this bike, we're going to do a video of it being used out on the trails and the 2 tracks around here. But we gotta do an install. And that's going to be a separate video from this. I decided this video here is going to be strictly talking about the bike, and for next one, Kimimoto sent me an item here that I'm just gonna give it to him for sponsorship. He's got to put my name on the gas tank in big pink letters. No, just kidding. I do this. If I get something, and I just give it away if I install on the bike. So he's a good guy. He's standing next to me. Just flew that deal. But anyway, we're gonna get ready to do an install video and an unboxing here. So that'll be a quick video, maybe a 15-20 minute video of that. But this one here, I'm going to end it here, because I decided this is going to be a video unto itself, because it's really hard to look at this bike and not want to get into the technical stuff. And if you want to hear more of what he says about the bike, leave me a comment in there in the chat, or leave me a comment, I should say, and there may be a part 2 of this going over this bike. So anyway, we're going to end it here. Goodbye, God bless. This trail rider, and I'm old.
You are older than me.
And this is Trail Rider, and
Thank you.
yeah, and this is Ran. We'll just call him Ran. It's easier for now. And we're gonna get ready to do the install. I give you a hint. It's more storage. It's all we're gonna leave it at that. So from Kimimoto. So catch you later. Goodbye and God bless. I'll see you next time.